Hi, Guido Fox here. Welcome by a new book report. Today I want to discuss with you this amazing book, the Hammadi Scriptures. It's a very thick book. It is 1200 pages. Um, Very interesting religious texts of Jesus, Maria Magdalena, Thomas, Paulus, and others. It's very deep texts of spirituality and Gnostic texts. Um, we are going deeper in spirituality, and this is something very interesting to read. It is very thick, 1200 pages, and I want to tell you the core essence of this book, of this evangelis, of these scriptures. What is not adapted in the Bible. And that is very interesting. I think a lot of texts, what is not adapted in the Bible is maybe more interesting than what is adapted in the Bible. And we don't know if all this text is not adapted in the Bible with a reason, or it is done without a reason. But we know that Jesus had some controversial texts, and I will show you here what maybe it was not good to make that mainstream, to bring that in the crowd, because rumors will exist and collective structures will collapse. So that's, I think, the biggest reason why people in church power didn't want to have this kind of text in the Bible. But for sure, I don't know. But what I know is that this text is found, the scriptures is found in a jug, in a pitcher, in the middle of Egypt in 1945. So in 1945, someone was founding these scriptures, and they put it all together with some researchers and make a whole story out of it. Some parts were not easy to discover, so they hold it more wide in these scriptures, but they make a whole story out of it, and it is very interesting, right? What maybe is not adapted in the Bible than what is adopted in the Bible. So these scriptures, these deeper spiritual scriptures, were found in 1945 in the middle in Egypt. They're Gnostic scriptures, deeper spiritual scriptures, and they go from the essence that the verlossing, the resurrection, is coming from within. So heaven is coming from within, instead of from the outside. And in the church verzoeningsleer, it is written in Dutch, so sometimes I use Dutch words, but in the church lessons, in the verzoeningsleer, in the church essence, if you read the Bible carefully, then it is an outside mechanism. You will be corrected as a bad human by the outside. You have to read the Bible. God will punish you if you're doing something, and you have to listen to the church member, and then you will change. And from the Gnostic view, is it that it's coming from within. So from within you can change yourself instead of only from outside views or mechanisms. So you can become a light power and a light atom. That's very interesting. A light atom to become a true human, to become really yourself, to become even God. So you can become God, you can become the godly spiritual power in yourself. You can find that line, and that is mostly in contradiction with the Bible texts. Is that there stand that you cannot become God because God is somewhere far away, and that is too high to grab. So this is another kind of view, starting view than the Bible texts. There you can find your true identity. So true spirituality and through these texts, you can find your true identity. So people live in a kind of idea that their identity is something given, and you have to deal with that identity, to which your personal identity all your life. But that's false. So you don't know what kind of identity you have. It is a kind of false identity that is given you because how people look to you, all those school systems and society conditionings giving you images, and that is the personality or identity what you have, right? But if you're going deeper into spirituality, you will see by the chakra awakenings and the inner bliss feelings, the ecstaticness in your body, that there is another identity which you didn't know before. So your identity will change through a spiritual leader or doing a lot of meditation yourself. Your identity will change to a true identity too, and then you become a true human. You become the full potential. You become a full potential human. So that is true identity. Your true identity is now a false identity given by false constructions, mostly false society, civilized conditionings, and not natural conditionings. What is the pre-step to more reaching enlightened stages? So people think that they know themselves, but they don't know themselves because they didn't find the 7 chakra awakenings where Jesus or Shoen Buddha, Krishna were talking about these openings in your body. So that is in gradual form your true identity, your true fully potential spiritual identity, and that is what you can read in these holy scriptures. And I think it is too difficult to reach for the crowd. It is too difficult to transfer a person into enlightenment because of the very difficult psychological events and corrections you have to go through by a coach or by a leader or by yourself, and it costs enormous time to do that. So that is for the normal folks. For the crowd, is it not done? Is it above their head to reach this kind of spiritual wisdoms and clear minds and peace of mind, and to understand? So maybe they didn't adopt this kind of scriptures in the Bible because to make it simple for people. And then I come by my old wisdom, and that is religion is for the crowd, spirituality is for the chosen fews. So make it simple for people that they can understand it, and they can go with the group flow, with the collective flow of churches, with the collective flow of religions, and with this sheep conditioning. Was Jesus was totally not into this kind of institutional processes. He was against it. He was saying you have to stand up for yourself. You have to become an individual. You have to stand up for yourself and wear your own cross in your life, and not shelter every time by big group institutions. And he was praying on the mountain. He was meditating on the mountain of Galilee, the Olive Mountain. So he was just only meditating there without any institution or group work. So that's maybe the reason why they didn't mention this kind of scriptures in the Bible, because it makes it too complex, too much complex for reaching enlightenment and higher stages for normal folks. That's interesting to understand. So you can become your true identity, your light Adam. If we talk about Adam in the Bible, it means light Adam. It is the light in yourself. You can spread the light in yourself in the world if you meditate a lot and you find your 7 chakra points. They will become warm and ecstatic, and you can share your deeper love into the world. And what is interesting in this book, one sentence. I read everything, so I can also, I know with all those books I read in the past, also notice the one line, what is very interesting in the books. So one line I remembered, and that's the mid-self. The mid-self. Keep that in mind, the mid-self. Opening up the mid-self. What is opening up the mid-self? Opening up the mid-self is the 3 hearts on a row in your middle area in your body. That's the 3 hearts on your row. First is the right spot on the right. It's your Hidrada opening. And then the 3 hearts on a row will be opening up. And that is where Jesus we're talking about. Is the first opening row is the 3 hearts on a row in your middle area. That's your chakra, your first chakra line. So we talked about the mid-self, opening up the mid-self in the Gnostic scriptures. That's your first spiritual awakening line where Osho, Jesus, and Buddha, and me also we're talking about, and I talk about it now to you, right? So mid-self is a very important sentence in this scripture. They mentioned one or two times, so it's very rare, and I find something very interesting what is mentioned maybe one or two times in the book. That can be very interesting. One small word can make the change, right? One small step leads to the moon. So mid-self is the first opening to become God, to have a godly, spiritual, warm, ecstatic flow. So God is a flow. God is a spiritual power in yourself, what you can reach by duration, effort, discipline in your meditation activities. And then you find the mystery in yourself. De wondermysterie van het huis. The holy mystery in your own house. And that is what Paulus were talking about in this prayer of Paulus mentioned in this scripture, is that you can find your mystery. And I want to talk later about mystery, because you become a little bit mysterious if you are going into spirituality, and that's good. It's good to be a little bit mysterious. It's good not to be a normal guy all your life, right? Simple guy. You don't want that, right? You want to be a little bit mysterious. But at the same point, you're very open and vulnerable. And you see a lot of contradictions in spirituality. And I mentioned it later, you're in the world and you're out the world. You're in society and out society. The heaven is without you, the heaven is within you. But you're a mystery. And you're very open. You're very vulnerable. You're very sensitive. So that is very interesting, right? That paradox between a mystery and a very open and vulnerable person. I will mention it later. I come back on the texts of Jesus, and he was also talking about to becoming a mystery. And you see here that Paulus, the apostle, also were saying this about that you can find your mystery in your own house. You can find it within. You can find the mystery within. Then I want to go to the holy book, the secret book of Jacobus, and that is on page 63. And on page 63, he was writing a very interesting sentence. And the sentence is that you can find the kingdom of God. You can find the kingdom of God in yourself when you choose that. When you choose that, you are able to find a mystery in yourself. You're able to find heaven in yourself. That's an interesting quote, right? You have to find that. And that's also happened in my life. I don't like to talk too much about my life. But I had the feeling that I was going dead. And that a new life was starting a new rebirth was starting by the opening of the Hydra. I was lost for a certain moment in my life, and when the deeper meditation were kicking in and that energy came free in my spirit, in my line, a new rebirth were taking place. And that is here the death of your old life, the death of your first society life, where you actually doing everything what society was asking from you, what your family was asking for you, what the school systems were asking for you. You were actually serving society all the time. And then if you're going into meditation, you become sharp. You become clear as hell and you think back, oh my God, where I was in and what kind of rat race I was in and what kind of pressures with exams and studies and PhD and all those kind of bullshit. You become sharp. You become clear. And you have the feeling that it's an ending of your first society life. And that you become in a more heavenly state in the second rebirth. In your second rebirth. Your first birth and your second birth. And all the past lives you had, right? Your reincarnation. And the death is the death of your first life, but the death is also the death of your ego. If I read the scriptures of Hawkins, thousands of pages, I make all those book reports, then you know how the ego works. You now know how you're imprinted with the ego. You now know that society is an ego society. You know now how the ego works by yourself. And if you know how the ego works because you had a big ego yourself, it's a protecting mechanism, then the ego will be dead too. So with the opening of your hidradas and your chakra lines and the ecstaticness, your ego will be dead. And that is where Paulus were talking here about, that you have to find death. You have to find death in yourself. And if you find death, new life can start, right? You make space for new life. It's always death. People going dead and making space for new life. Plants are going dead and there becomes new trees. So that is something good sometimes. We are too scared for that. We are so attached to life that we are afraid to giving up life. We are afraid to giving up something, to letting grow something else, right? In your relationships, to say goodbye to the people who are destructive for you, who are toxic for you. We are so afraid, we stay by them. We are so attached. The same as your job, your career. Why you have your career? You want the money. Why you want the money? You want to pay your rent. Why? You have to ask you the why question. And then you will see that it's something not really important for you. And you want something different in your life. You want more in your life. You want more personal development in your life. So giving up something to create something new in your life. So that's a very interesting quote from Paulus, that the only one who experienced that, who make themselves dead in their ego, can reach kingdom of heaven. Page 91. when you go higher in spirituality, when you are deeper in the line, time flies. You're out of space and time. You don't know where I was during the day. I forget. It's not efficient anymore for my mind. You might become efficient, sharp, and clear. But here in the Evangelie der Waarheid, the Evangelie of True, it's an interesting point here is that the guy who is going beyond thinking will reach the heaven. Beyond thinking. And I know how it is. I was a thinking guy all the time. I'm still thinking. But I was so much thinking in my head, heady, that I couldn't sleep, that I was stressed out all the time. I mean, I did 3 studies in 4 years. It was a very heavy period for a lot of stress and effort. But what I now see is that when you go into spirituality, you go beyond society, but also beyond mind. And the guy who's going beyond mind, on both mind, is the guy who is able to think in his chakras and think. So you can think, I can think all the day, but my thinking is more efficient because I am in my chakra line. I feel the ecstaticness in my line. So everything becomes more effortless. Everything becomes more at ease. Everything becomes more relaxing without the inner conflict of thinking about all those different things in your head. So your head is full and it distorts also your inner feelings. It distorts to feel your body. It is that your body doesn't exist. You're only your head. And now I am more balanced. I am more total. I can feel more total. I become a more balanced person, a more total person. I live from totality. So that is where also we're talking about the Knack. The Knack is that I'm talking with you and I'm also centered. I'm also in my line. And then you can think and be at ease, or you can not think and you're at ease. You can become more a doing guy, to let all those thoughts away in my meditation or in my contemplation. But you can only reach heaven if you find the Knack, if you can find the energetical biggest trick on earth, the biggest personal development trick on earth. If you can find this Knack, your life will be amazing. You're much more relaxing. Your mind is becoming much more efficient, much more sharp and clear. So that is really spirituality, right? This is Gnostic. It's too difficult to transfer to normal folks, to crowd people to understand this mechanism. And in the threefold Evangelie on page 172, there also is thrown down that you go from very much thoughts in your mind. Oh, I have to do this thing in the afternoon. Oh, I have to do this thing in tomorrow. I have a list. What happened in the past? Why that people were saying that to me? And your mind is constantly diverse. is constantly complex, making things complex as it is. And in page 173, in the scriptures is mentioned that you can go from multi-thoughts to and single thoughts. And what is mentioned with this single thought is, of course, that you can go from that single thought to multi-thoughts. That's okay. But from that single thought, where you are aligned with your Pleroma, it's a Latin word, you are aligned with your Pleroma. So your logos, your rational being, and this is interesting to mention because in the spirituality there's also something, you not have to think so much, you're too rational. It's balanced here. You have the emotional body, mostly the pain body by a lot of people. You have your body, your line, your energetical system, and you have your mind. So you got your mind from God, right? So you don't reject your own mind. Don't reject your own rationality. Use your rationality in a good sense. So your rationality going into Pleroma is the optimal situation. Then you're in optimal balanced. You're optimal balanced when you can think about the line in your body and doing the rest what you want to do. That is the optimal combination from logos and Pleroma. Remember that words, logos and Pleroma. That is what you want to make. The Western philosophers become all crazy, have depressions, because all those philosophers didn't meditate. They stay in their logos, but never were going into theology, spirituality, to heal themselves. Because you can think, and you can think about your Pleroma. So you can think about the line in your body while you're doing your activities. And then on page 323, Jesus were mentioned. Then you become human. First of all, you become human. You become a real human. A true human with a true identity. Angel, you become a true human. You're 100% full potential. And you become an angel. An angel of God because you want to share it. You worked for your enlightenment and you want to share your enlightenment. So you become an angel who share the message. So human, angel, and an angel is also someone who is very clear, but also clean in morality. Very clean. I never steal, for example, um, because I know that karma is a bitch. I know there happened something. I will fall down with my scooter or something. I never steal. I see so many people are stealing from stores and supermarket. I feel it in once. I'm so sensitive. But you become very clean in your soul, clean in your doing, mental very healthy. You become mental very healthy if you become an angel. And what Jesus was saying, you become a mystery. You become open, vulnerable, but you become also a mystery. Because you're different. If you meditate 2 hours per day, you going paradoxical on society in your energetic system. You're going totally against society, against the neurotic society. Society is neurotism. And you're going to see it if you step out. If you step out, you're going to see the bigger picture of neurotism, of stress reactions of people. So you become a mystery, but you become also more open and more vulnerable. And as last, Jesus was saying, you become the Father. And that is what he was saying. The Father is your spiritual line in your body. And so you become the sharer of the messenger. You become more open and vulnerable in a mystery. And you become human. And you become the Father. You become the spiritual line in your body. You become consciousness. That's what Jesus actually was saying with all those 4 archetypes, is that you become more shining light atom, light power. You become more sharing power in this world. You become sharing light in this world. You become the Father. You become consciousness. So you become consciousness. Real consciousness. You become. There was Jesus we're talking about. He was talking about consciousness. Upraising consciousness for humankind to go against all the destructions in the universe, wars, conflicts, ego, mechanisms, fights, suffering, mentally suffering, heady, too rational. That's what he was saying in page 323. 325. We're going further and further in my speech. In my seminar, there will be more extended because I like to give the full knowledge to you, totally for free for you guys. 323 is sharing peace and love, but also transfer your fears. And that is very, very interesting, is that people are living in fears all the time. Fears in the relationship to bond, fears of rejection, fears in the career to step out or to stay in, fears to do something else in your life, fears on the street to be robbed, fears of the dead. The most people living in fear, and I'm saying to myself, there is no economically crisis. No. There is a mental crisis in this universe. There's already longer and longer a mental crisis. And I think through civilization, there's more mental crises than before, when we lived in a more natural, simple community or living. It was more higher consciousness and more peace of mind. I think civilization will destruct our minds so much that 1 out of 10 using antidepressant. So we're living in a mental crisis. So people who arise above fear, escape from fear, will reach higher stages of enlightenment. So what I did in my life and was skipping all the fears. Where you have fear, why my action is my action based on fear or not, or on freedom and love? So fear is interesting, right? So why there is fear? Why you experience fear in yourself? So go by yourself, go within and think about it, right? Why I'm doing this job? Is it because of fear? Is it maybe your ego boost to the outside world, and that's fear, right? To want to be by a kind of group or not be disrespected by your parents, or you do it for the money, so there is fear of losing money. Or why you're in your relationship? Are you based on fear to be alone for all your life, or you are for love and freedom in your relationship? So go by yourself, go within and experience what kind of fears you have in your mind. And what Jesus was saying here is, those the one who goes above fear reach the kingdom of heaven. So this fear, you want to escape from fear. Page 369. And that's an interesting one. Is an Evangelie from the consciousness of powers. And you get there and split between the body, the soul, and the spirit, the will. And Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit, you have that triangle in the Christianity. But here it is interesting, because this deeper to the enlightened stages. So what you want is first the will. And here it is mentioned the Father will, and under the Father's will is the creative power. So in the Bible, they tell about Father's will, very more male-dominated way of thinking, right? But here in the scriptures, the forgotten scriptures, they see the will as in creative identity. So God or the Father is in creative power. To find that creative chakra power in yourself, what's the source of creation, and the source of creativity, you become also much more creativity if you meditate. Besides that, little side step, but it starts with the will. You have to have the willpower to find your chakra line, right? Without will, nothing will change. And that is something what I see also in my coaching and with people's their lives. First, you want to reach something, and not for a week, not for 2 weeks, but for years or your life. So first, you need a will. So here it's mentioned in these scriptures is you have to have the will to become enlightened. You have to have a serious will, a deep mental, kind of rational will. A kind of rational will to go into this field of ecstaticness and calmness and relaxingness. So it all starts with a will. And that means not a simple will. Oh, we doing that thing for 1 week. No, it is a long-term will, a stable duration will, and disciplined will, an effort will. You need effort to reach effortless. You need effort to reach effortless states. Are to use effort to reach effortless states. Very interesting. So it starts with will, with mind power, with spirit. And then the Pleroma is kicking in your soul. And I found it always difficult that the classic triangle, Father, Son, Holy Spirit. But actually you want to have the will, and the will is going into your soul. Your soul wants to become enlightened. Your soul wants to become whole. Your soul wants to light up. So first the will, and then your soul can become enlightened, and then your body. Your body, and it mentioned here body, that means your inner body, will change in an androgyne, energetic entity. So that is very interesting. So your body will change in an androgyne identity. And that is what not really mentioned in the Bible, androgyne, because the crowd and normal folks will think you're a man or a woman, right? But what here the deeper spiritual scriptures are talking about is that you become have the qualities and the energy of a female and a male in optimal balance. So you can be very sharp, direct, making decisions as a man. But you can also be caring, touching, cooking for someone, a welcome atmosphere in your home, and explore more the female energies and intuitive feelings, emotions, vulnerable in your body. So you can become more female, but also more male. And what it's saying here, if you find your living spirit and you have the willpower and it's transferred in your body mechanism, you become more whole and you become more optimal, balanced. So that's here androgyne. Androgyne is that you become more more balanced. So that's also the outcome of your enlightenment process, is that you energies are more balanced and more whole. That's the whole point of becoming an angel. Also, you see all those angels on walls and scriptures, they're all always male and female together. So Jesus were going to Galilee, the harvest, the crop, the place of crop, the place of harvest, he call it, and that's also with the mustard seed. So Jesus were finding his opening spot on the right, the Hydria, and he felt something and he screwed it out. Oh my God, there is something opening up in my body. What happened in here? And nobody felt it, right? He was so superior to the rest. And they think he's crazy. This guy is crazy. He felt something in his body. This guy is crazy. So the place of the mustard seed, the place of crop, the place of harvest. So Jesus was saying the mountain, the olive mountain, is the place of harvest, the place of crop, the place of existence. And a mountain is, of course, a place what is not institutional. It is not a church. You don't have to go to a church or another kind of religious house. It is the nature. It's a mountain. It's by the trees. So that's the hidden secret teachings of Jesus, is that God can find outside the institutions, can found in nature, into becoming more nature. Just go to a mountain to become one with the nature. That's what he was saying, actually. Become more natural. Become less institutional. Follow more your natural being. So that is what he was saying. Other text is about fully consciousness. Fully consciousness. Page 647. And there we go a little bit into the paradox. I talked with you already about your mystery, but you're also very open and vulnerable. You are in the society and outside society. You're flowing in the society, but your energy field is free. So you go from groups to groups or from persons to persons, but you're never fixed in a kind of system. So you're in society and you're out society. That mechanism is very good to step out crowd conditionings and crowd energy fields. So that's also a paradox, right? So you're in society and you're out society. And here in page 647, to reach higher consciousness levels is that you become the honor and the despise. You will be honored maybe after the death, mostly. Socrates, higher consciousness, Jesus, higher consciousness, and all those others. Mostly become honored after your death. But you can be honored by some persons who can feel your energy, who are sensitive and high evolutionary grow persons, who are higher than the rest. But also you can be despised. So there's a paradox in to becoming a spiritual leader. I mean, Osho were loved but hate. Love and hate are very close by each other. So you can be loved and hate. You can be honored and despised. And you're touching the egos of persons with a very big ego construction. They're scared for you. You're a mirror for them. Jesus were a mirror for a lot of persons with power. And Socrates the same. I remember a story that he was talking with a general in a very big house and a very ego construct, and Socrates was saying, you are this small point on the map of the world, so you are nothing. And that is not what you can say to some persons with a big ego construction. So you're touching as a spiritual leader on egos, right? You try to transfer the egos into non-ego identities. And of course, the ego doesn't like change. The ego wants to stay the same every time. The ego wants to protect himself for love, is scared. So the ego doesn't want to change. So you get also resistance there. So some people, they love you so much and others are hateful to you. So you are a divider. That's what I want to say. You become, as a spiritual leader or a spiritual guy, you become a divider. Divider into society. Some people are loving you, some people are hating you. So that's what you see. The other interesting thing here, the other interesting paradox is you become a prostitute and a holy guy or holy women like Maria Magdalena. You become holy and you become a prostitute. Sorry, I was smiling about my own jokes. You become so much lovable. You want to share so much. You want to touch people so much. that you want to have sex, of course, with more women, in my case. So you become a kind of prostitute and a kind of Holy Spirit. So the prostitute and the Holy Spirit in one. And of course, you can't mention that in the Bible. Can you imagine that there are some families in the church and you say, yeah, you have to become an prostitute and you have to become a Holy Spirit. I mean, the last one, you can mention that, but the first one, no, 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 no. But yeah, Jesus was saying prostitutes are mostly likable to enter the kingdom of heaven because of their non-ego, their sharing love, they understand social dynamics so good. So Jesus was also saying prostitutes can enter the heaven earlier than priests. So he was also scratching their own ego, religious powers, right? I mean, can you imagine that you say to a priest, no, you are not entering heaven. Prostitutes are entering heaven much more early than you, much more easy than you. And they were seen as the lowest person on earth, right? That's strange. Also, people living on the streets can probably reach God earlier than the bankers, right? Or the rational guys. And it's a very funny paradox. So the priests are praying and be brave all the time and polite and sitting on the first row in the churches and doing always their best. And then someone was saying, no, no, prostitutes are reaching heaven earlier than you guys. And so he was touching the egos, right? They're angry and jealous maybe on the happiness and the reaching the enlightened stages of Jesus. So they were angry. They cannot handle this kind of superiority, this kind of mind superiority, of a Jesus. So that's what you see, right? That's kind of mechanisms you see in this world, in this spiritual world full of paradoxes. So you have to become the prostitute and the Holy Spirit in one, and you become the lovable and the hateful. And the third thing is you become the merciful and the unmerciful. You're so much merciful that you can become unmerciful to people that they become merciful. So I have to become very strict sometimes. I have to go hard on your ego and I will be not nice to you. So I have to become unmerciful from merciful that you become merciful. That's a paradox, right? I have to be unmerciful that you become merciful, but I do it from mercifulness. I do it from love. So I have to be strict. I have to crash on your ego to become more merciful. So that's also a very interesting paradox, right? So you have to be merciful and unmerciful. So you like me, you love me, or you hate me. It's up to you, right? You follow me or you don't follow me. In the understanding of Norena, I don't know this kind of book, but it's also mentioned here in the scriptures, Norena. I like the name Norena. And this about the godly Autogenes. And on page 9, fifth one, is that mentioned. fifth one, is very mentioned one word or two words, godly autogenes. Godly autogenes. And what is mentioned with autogenes, I will talk to you, is the self-verwekte, is the self-experienced guy, is the guy who experienced the self and do it by himself, with a teacher or without a teacher, but he do it self, autogenes, and self-made spiritual guy, and that is going also fully automatically, that you're fully automatically centered and fully automatically be with that 7 chakras in your body. So it is a full automatically process, but it takes first effort to reach that, to learn that knack and to learn that trick. So first you have to put effort to become effortless. Another paradox, right? Become first more effort, then you become more effortless. It costs effort to reach something, and then you can become a lazy alpha guy, right? So from effort to effortless. And then you become the self-made man. Then I want to share something what I didn't mention in my notes, but it's very interesting. 2 small things. Step out of jealousy feelings. I mentioned it a lot of times in my speeches. Step out of jealousy. Don't be jealous, not comparing with someone. Stop with comparing. Everyone has his own core, his own life path. But stop with jealousy. That's also what mentioned a few times in the scriptures. Don't watch to others how many money they make or what kind of cars they have. You can say, oh, good job, wow, you did something in your life, you managed it, amazing, and then you go back to your own work, what you have to do in this life, right? Why you're here. So jealousy is something very badly. So no jealousy in this life. I think I forgot something, but it's okay. The last part is a very interesting part, and it's also what you can't mention in the Bible when there are families in the rows. And he was saying, Jesus was saying in the Maria Magdalena Evangelie, sins doesn't exist, but you are making sins. And he says something to his friends about cheating. I hate the word cheating. I say share with someone and share love with someone unknown, or have a very open view about that. But Jesus was saying actually, okay, it is actually okay to share love. He said it is not a sin. You make it a sin. And in a lot of countries still going with someone else for a night or some weeks or affairs will punished by the death, right? So the death goes after the sin goes before the death, and this is interesting. So he was saying actually, he promoted actually free love, and that is still something strange in a lot of societies. Still is there slave society, slave morality there. It is insane that you cannot make love with someone else or touch. I think that's very unhealthy for a person to stay monogam all your life. Maybe if some periods of your life it's okay, but I think it's very unhealthy, body-wise, energetically wise. You pick up that energy also and transfer to your relationship. So actually we're slave conditioning, slave morality, and we suppress ourselves. But also Jesus were saying it. You say it is not a sin. And of course you cannot say that in the Bible. When there are all families there, you say, okay guys, free love, enjoy each other. Then the structure is away. The suppressing structure of church and state to suppress people in their sexual enslavement is suppressing. Because, and this in line with Osho, people who are sexual becoming superior, or becoming good with women or with men, are becoming self-independent and free person and can think for themselves. So with sexual confidence, you can be empowered, and the powers who are in powers can be afraid for the new sexual power. So that's the reason why there is suppression, also because of jealousy, right? Because the women can be in the past days be pregnant from someone else, but nowadays we have condoms, so reduce that effects a little bit more. But you see, Jesus was pro sharing love, and that's an interesting topic, right? In this Maria Magdalena Evangelie, that you are dying. He said, therefore you are dying because you are misled by powers. He say you are misled by powers because they saying it's a sin. It's a sin, and you believe that the polygam or the free love is a sin, and therefore you are misleading yourself. You are sterven. You are becoming dead before you're dead. You're living dead persons. You're living as a dead person. But who finds God? Who knows? Who finds the 7 chakra centers knows that it is a false conditioning, that it is false. So you grow up in a false conditioning to see your parents together in an unloved situation, in an unsexual free dynamic where there is frustrations. They didn't have sex anymore together because they're slaved in sharing love to another person. How stupid that is. So sexual suppression is the greatest punishment to humankind, because it starts with sexual experience. It starts with touching more bodies, to understand psyche of people. To understand all these kind of things makes you more sensitive, more intuition, more female. You become more female as a man, to have more diversity, to have more sharing powers. That's the pre-stage to enlightenment. It's the pre-energetically work stage to go higher in your consciousness. So to hold people small, to hold people mini, because otherwise they stand up and they become individuals. And structures don't like that. Structures don't like individuals who are becoming strong. It's interesting. They don't like that you're becoming sexual experienced and peaceful and lovable persons, because then you become a big power, and existence powers doesn't like that. There's a whole history of humankind that is the same dynamics there. The same dynamics of suppressing sexuality for the powers. And then, of course, a guy, a king, is picking all the girls from the country lands to hold them for himself. Example is Gaddafi, had 400 women for himself to suppress the normal folks. So this is about Jesus, the Maria Magdalena Evangelie, and the more spiritual development from this wonderful book. Nice colors, 1200 pages of wonderful information about the process of reaching higher spiritual happiness stages. So thank you for watching this video, and thank you, and see you next time. Hi.